Heck if I know where you folks keep coming from, but anyone who walks through that door alive pretty much gets my amnesty. Something in your past colors you sourly to a badge, I'd ask you to call it quits in return. We agreeable? Well then, I'm Sheriff Bannerman, and this down-home little state of emergency is what's left of my jurisdiction. Sure, we tried to hold as much of the town as we could at first, more out of nostalgia than any civil defense plan. I won't tell you Kingsmouth was a slice of heaven in a snow globe, but it was ours. Now it ain't. There was always something running under in this town. Maybe what's spilled out now. If that's how it works, I couldn't say hand on heart we didn't have it coming. But that fog, and the things in it, they didn't pick and choose when they came in. Most folks didn't stand a chance. Now, I can see you're armed. I won't kick up any fuss about that. Straight truth is, you'll need to be. Just don't go thinking that means you're deputized as such. Heaven knows if there was ever a time and a place for the right to bear 'em, you're looking at it. Henry has his word of God, that Roger woman has her crystal ball, and Norma out on the point's got a 12 gauge. My money's on Norma. Well, sure wasn't in our yearly budget to put the town under martial law. No, the good old boys on the council were all about thrifty spending, at least above the table. So I squirreled away where I could for some surveillance equipment. Police business, sure, let's call it civic awareness. I'm talking your webcams, your motion sensors. Oh, don't look so surprised. Kingsmouth might be out in the sticks, but we have electricity and everything. Running water in tourist season. Come back when this whole damn mess is blown over, I'll give you the tour far as the old lighthouse. But, to get to the point of it, seems to me we should bring that gear out of mothballs and get it hooked up around town. Gives me some early warning and the others a break from my collection of Jeopardy reruns. Well, I don't mind telling you, this makes no damn sense to me. And I hate to be the one drawing a blank on Final Jeopardy. But right now, folks just need me to look like I got all the answers. The questions, they come later, along with the grieving. Then, after a little time, folks will lose their hankering for the questions. Fact is, a few of them in high places get downright evasive about it. I never do quit. It's a bad habit. I'm just a sheriff after all, not some forensic detective like on that CSI. Thought I had it the worst when the Ravens came around years ago. Was an ugly time for Kingsmouth. Not the kind that makes it to the news. The kind we keep inside. Now, I see those Ravens are all back in town. They with you? Or should I bring them in for questioning? If you're planning on striking out of town, Kingsmouth hospitality dictates I gotta set you right. And I need you to keep this on the down low. But there's worse out there than our undead problem. Worse than anything that shuffles along on two legs, that's for sure. I'm about as pleased as can be that I didn't catch a better look. Could be the kind of thing that gives a nightmare nightmares. You want to stay in the light. Keep out of the trees, out of the fog. We got a few folks left holding out across the island. Well, that was last time I could check, and I'm an optimist. Pays to see the donut, not the hole. Red's Shack at Tolba Bay, the Innsmouth Academy, the Wabanaki Indian Grounds. They should still be safe. Could be the others like you, that wolf fella, have set up camp out there. Toasting marshmallows and such. And steer clear of the pumpkin patch, eh? Just a feeling. Guess you could say I got lucky. Around the time this mess kicked off, I was up at the old lighthouse checking in on Sam Creek, Maine's best-selling export. Oh sure, we do that fancy book learning around these parts too. Never much cared for horror stories or the man himself. Waving a rifle around in a dressing gown, juiced up, heck of a disturbance of the peace. Well, turns out that was the last of the piece. I gotta write this down, Sheriff. This is goddamn manna from heaven, he says to me when the fog let go. I left him magnuming that opus and hightailed it back to town. Tried to bring Ellie Franklin with me, but Kingdom Coming couldn't pry her from that mansion. Real monster house in the West Island. You can't miss it. I'd appreciate you letting them know we're still here for when they're done playing survivalists. You sure you want to be talking to me about all this stuff? I mean, I'm probably flattered that you think I'm in on it all. Truth is, I'm always the last to be invited to the midnight meetings at Town Hall. Reckon I must be all thumbs when it comes to secret handshakes. I know this island's cut from a different cloth. A damn weird cloth. Sure as there's a difference between being homely and being plain stupid. Take it from me, no one around these parts is a dope. Not all the time. Everybody knows, or knows someone who knows. Salem's got nothing on us. We had an episode with torches and pitchforks only 25 years ago now. But my job, I gotta do it wearing this police jacket, not a robe and a wizard hat. Don't make me have to file another missing persons report, okay?
The Lady Margaret was a traumatic experience for everyone on board. They were changed men when they came back. I visited with all of them in the days following their return. In my office, there are detailed transcripts of our sessions. I'm afraid it all happened so fast that day there was no time to pack. I hope they may shed some light on what happened out there.
There's nothing like the confines of a cubicle or a packed subway to give a man perspective. I was so caught up in the grind of office politics and the endless hunt for affirmation and money, I didn't realize I was getting sick. Friend, I was no more lithe than those things out there, and a sight less mobile. The disease that grew inside me was as black as theirs. Freedom lies in being bold, said Robert Frost. So, I boldly quit my job and traded my rent-controlled apartment on Christopher Street for a vintage Harley and an old poncho. Found my salvation in the open road, and I haven't looked back since. Traveling the open country, you learn to be prepared for whatever the land throws your way. Faced with the elements, you gain a new appreciation and respect for nature. You come to accept how small and insignificant you truly are. Nature is neither good or evil, it just is. There's nothing natural about the storm that rolled in on Solomon Island, or the fog that followed. There was evil in that fog, whispering to everyone in its path. The townsfolk followed the fog back into the sea, as if possessed. It was Deputy Gardener, Andy, saved my life. He grabbed hold of me when the fog got into my head, tied a rope around us both, kept walking the other way. It was like the whispers didn't get to him. When I finally got my wits back, the fog had rolled back out again to where it is now. We shook hands, and we started looking for survivors and building this fortress. That man saved my life, selflessly. And I love him for it. I'd go to the ends of the world and back for Andy. I don't think I'll ever win him over, though. Living on the razor's edge of society, your eyes open up to the possibility that there's something more to this world. Something most people are too blind or too preoccupied to notice. Even if it's right under their noses, and has been all along. I only noticed small things at first. Roads that appeared and disappeared. Folks who traveled by way of gates drawn in chalk on brick walls. Houses bigger on the inside than on the outside. Magic trinkets sold at yard sales. Street shamans capable of taking out the cancer inside you. But it wasn't until I found myself face to face with werewolves in New Orleans that I realized there's a secret war going on. After that, I couldn't escape it. I saw signs and sigils everywhere. I met recruiters for the Templars, Illuminati, and the Dragon. They all seemed to think I'd make a useful operative. I tell them I'd take no sides, and that I'd be little use to them. But the United Against Darkness thing I can get behind. We're all in this together, and we've all got work to do. Andy and Helen, Deputy Gardener, Sheriff Bannerman, they're the reason I stayed behind when I could have just gone. I know the secret roads. I know how to ride out of here, through places the fog can't touch. But folks like them and the rest of the survivors here in Kingsmouth deserve better. I'm not putting you on the spot here, friend. I know you got other places to be, other wars to fight. Which is why it's doubly important I stay behind. There's an honesty and an innocence to these people, and they genuinely know and care about one another. Of course, I can't claim total selflessness. My heart's gone soft for Andy, and even if he'll never feel the same way for me, as long as this heart's beating, I won't let any harm come to him. I've spent the better part of 2 decades on the road, my friend, and I've learned that there's not a loose bolt these hands can't tighten, not a broken transmission they cannot fix. You give me a handful of nails and some wood, and I'll build you a house. When the undead came marching up Main Street just a day or 2 after the fog pulled back, we did our best to prepare for the worst. Andy and me, with the help of the rest of the good folk here, built ourselves something better than a house. We built a castle. It won't hold forever, but as long as we're breathing, As long as we believe in salvation, with or without help from the likes of you, we will walk tall and stand firm.
I wanted to be a police officer since as far back as I can think. I had a lot of time to myself growing up. I watched all the cop shows, again and again. The old shows, when a good cop was always a good cop. When you knew you could trust a badge, right? You knew before the half hour was up, they'd get the guy out of the basement. So that was my goal, plain and simple. I was single-minded about it. You ask anyone, and they'll say, "Hey, that Andy, he sure is single-minded." Now, I wasn't what you'd call a straight-A student, but I got there. I got there. And when Sheriff Bannerman swore me on as deputy, gave me my badge, I'd been up all night ironing this shirt. It was crisper than you'd believe. Well, that day I was just as happy as a clam at high tide. Sure chokes me up seeing Main Street all done up in buntings and so empty. The kids love that Halloween parade, you know? Then they'd all bus on up Bangor way for the haunted hay rides, ever since our local amusement park closed down. There were troubles. It was before my time. Still, what town doesn't have a little trouble? With cultists? There was that repeat killer, I wouldn't say serial killer, but he came from the mainland. And that mess with the college kids at the old hunting cabin? Bears, we reckoned. Jeez, when it's all laid out like that, it does sound pretty bad, huh? This, right now, is definitely the worst we've ever had, though. This is the real storm of the century. If we push on through it, I am not looking forward to taking a shovel to the streets after. Oh, I knew everyone in Kingsmouth. A safe community isn't a spectator sport. I memorized that one. And Sheriff Bannerman preferred to have me walking the beat, you know, while she handled house calls. That suited me just fine. You know, our folks were a good bunch. They only cause a ruckus when they've had too much of the, you know what. But recently I got talking to Sandy. That guy's pretty philosophical. You wouldn't know it to look at him. I mean, I don't personally have a problem with bikers. I'd like a motorcycle myself. Anywho, he made me really consider it, you know, whether you really ever knew a person. I told him how in second grade I met Anna Redmond behind the gym every day for 2 months. We would hold hands. I thought I knew her pretty good. She left town all of a sudden one day. Halloween. Jeez. Always Halloween. Moose says it's best to talk things out. So, here I am, talking. Mom bought the kittens and Dad drowned them. That's the facts of it. I don't like speculating much, that's one step away from guessing. And the sheriff, she taught me never to guess. Mom's version was that Dad loved things too much. Got a bit crazy sometimes, hugged real hard. Didn't always want to let go. The morning he stuffed them in a bag and took them out to sea, he was full of too much feelings. Didn't know what to do with them. It took him down to Journey's End, out behind the bed and breakfast. It's where the journey ended. Jeez, Dad always wore these masks, you know? For the longest time, you figure you know someone. Most of the time, really, we got no idea.
Please help me. Don't leave me here.
I think our odds are pretty good. Better than average. There's still hope, right? Worst situation I've ever been in? Wait, no, it is. This place is crawling. I just start talking to myself when I get nervous. Like now.
Well, hey.
You spooked the heck out of me, and I figured I was fresh out of scares. Jeez, you never saw anything like this in the cop shows. Well, maybe on cable, not the network ones. You wouldn't know it from looking out there, but before that wicked bad fog rolled in, Kingsmouth was a sleepy little burg. Nothing stronger on the streets than a hot cup of coffee and chocolate-glazed donuts from Susie's. The occasional DUI or domestic disturbance. Human sacrifice. But every town has a dark side, right? We sure are getting a heaped help in the darkness now, eh? The Walking Dead and worse besides taking over our town. Us survivors hold up in here, hoping it's all just a bad dream and we'll wake up to the smell of bacon and maple syrup. But unless someone ups and does something, and soon, all we're gonna wake up to is the smell of rotten flesh. And I don't need another thing to remind me of my dad. Halloween does bring back the memories, eh?
on the south barricade. Coming in from the south side now. For now.
Visual tracking initiated. Additional assignment received. Initializing. Visual tracking initiated.
yeah. You'd think these wet bits would just fizzle on the bonfire, but no. They sparkle like kindling wood. That's heartening. Ah, geez, what a mess. Good thing I'm not particular. Now I'm used to getting my hands dirty. Fish guts, childbirth, sutures, the dead. Yeah, maybe I was born for this work. Ah, that don't sound right. Nobody's made for this ungodly work. Except maybe this old thing. So I kill and I chop and I burn, but there's more of them every day, and I feel like I'm pushing a very big stone up a very steep mountain, and it keeps rolling back down. What do you call that? Sisyphean? Or is that when you get a burning in your privates? My idea of culture is reruns of Cheers and, you know, not ancient Greek mythology. Well, the old gal ain't a proper match for everything that turns up on my doorstep. Seems she's too much for most of it. Spreads a bone of dead man's guts all over the place. Well, there's no time to gather it all up before we're right back up in the thick of it. And they never stop coming. They never stop coming.
Local bounty detected. Initiating. Special assignment received. Initializing.